What is the Patient Data Hub? It is a safe, secure online system that you can participate in from anywhere. Really glad to see the UK folks, like I said, because you can participate from there. So really it starts with the concept of us wanting to hear from you on any RUNX1 FPD specific experiences you have around medical history, blood cancer history, your journey to reaching a diagnosis and that sort of thing. And we have additional measures coming up soon, but we have a nice solid starting point so we can better understand RUNX1 FPD. So why the Data Hub? Again, more beautiful faces that are familiar. We are connected to 420 individuals with RUNX1 across 247 families as of today. And I've spoken individually with hundreds of you in that group who have just been, especially when you are just recently diagnosed with RUNX1. And often what I hear from you and through the Facebook group that we have is what to expect. What does this disease look like? And though I can share some, or even though I can share some common stories I hear and some of what the research shows, I can't really quantify exactly how common some experiences are, or I couldn't before we started the Data Hub. So some of those questions include things like, my siblings don't experience excessive bruising like I do. Do all patients experience this? In other words, should they get tested for RUNX1, even though they don't quite look like myself? How many patients deal with food allergies and digestion issues? Could my swallowing issues be related to RUNX1? What about my flexible joints? That sort of thing. Probably familiar to you over the years with this disorder. So you might wonder, what about the NIH study? So great study and very extremely valuable. And they actually recently published a paper with some early data from their first year or two of running the study. But the thing is, those sorts of papers where they share what they find, it take a long, long time to get published and shared. So we really feel we need to understand as much about RUNX1 as possible, as quickly as possible, so we can share that information with you, so you can manage your lifestyle accordingly and talk to your doctors about what you're learning so that they can do their best to support you. And also mention that not all patients in our community are in that NIH study. In fact, only 58% of those in the hub have reported that they are currently participating in the NIH. So there's overlap, but it's not 100%. So we're doing our best to reach everyone we can to really understand the disorder and share with you what we're learning. I forgot to pop up the little question marks, and there they are. So one more quick slide. I'll just say that this is to represent, again, the Data Hub is sort of a two-way conversation between us and patients and their family members to help together put the puzzle pieces of RUNX1 together so we understand the disease. And again, it's a two-way street. We're hearing from you. That's impacting what we ask in the Data Hub, sharing data back as quickly as possible, and then modifying our follow-up questions accordingly from what we learn from you. And then additionally, what's really important for our disorder to reach blood cancer prevention and improve quality of life for patients is talking with doctors and scientists. I'm not sure if you know, but we're actually connected with more than 1,300 scientists and 3,600 clinicians. And so with the Data Hub, we can share what we're learning, the real statistics that we're learning directly with them so they can refine their research accordingly and their approach to caring for RUNX1 patients as they come along. So just an example of like some questions we've heard from scientists that need answering in order to develop treatments are things like, how many patients in your community have platelets below 50,000 or below 100,000 or 100,000? And that's because there are some drugs that may be of interest to test that may potentially prevent blood cancer. But if the medication requires that platelets be above 100,000 to be safe, then we find that, and we find that the majority of our community fall below that 100,000, we can let the scientists know, maybe you need to find another solution to test something that could work. So that's just one example of how important it is for us to understand the numbers to inform whether clinical testing of something is even feasible. So what are we learning so far? I didn't mention this, but we launched a couple years ago on another platform and did begin collecting data. we quickly figured out that the platform itself was like a little clunky and we needed a new tool. So that's part of our presentation today. But the first 40 patients who responded to those surveys really helped us understand what the experience is for patients. And so I'm just giving you a snippet of some things we're learning. Median age at diagnosis with RUNX1 FPD specifically came out to 34 years. And we found, this is probably no surprise to you, that most of those wait over 10 years for a true diagnosis. In terms of the blood system, there's a lot we're learning. Just a couple of snippets are that about a quarter require platelet transfusions or medications, especially with surgery and other procedures. About 1/3 diagnosed with anemia at some point, with women particularly burdened, which I'm sure you can understand and imagine why. But interestingly, beyond the blood system, we're also learning other things such as lungs, digestive system, oral health, eyes, vision, and hearing. In those cases, we're seeing a decent chunk of individuals experiencing these issues. Now, I'll mention that these bottom 30 were pretty much completely unexpected based on what we know in the research. So we certainly need to dive in deeper, right? What eyes and vision issues are there? What hearing issues are there? And are they really unique to our community? We currently have follow-up questions in the Data Hub to get at that, but we really need greater numbers participating in the Data Hub to really figure out if those are specific for, or those are unique to RUNX1 patients. Happy to talk about that more sometime, but I just wanted to give you sort of an overview of the kinds of things we're learning and we want to share back with you. And scientists and doctors. So who's on the Patient Data Hub team? This is just a slide to show you we have a diverse team. We have doctors weighing in, we have genetic counselors weighing in, we have scientists weighing in, and really they've been instrumental in helping us develop to date. Additionally, really important is the Research Guided by Patients Committee, which hopefully many of you are familiar with, but it's a committee of a diverse committee, but heavily consists of patients and their caregivers. And so they have been a part of this planning and guiding of this work along the way. And actually a couple were instrumental in helping us test the latest system before we released it. So we really appreciate that. Now, I want to jump to talk about Matrix, and that's what Andrea's team has helped us develop. So we are now offering the RUNX1 Patient Data Hub on the Matrix system. And the Matrix system is a software system to allow us to deliver those questions that we have about RUNX1 FPD. And it also offers other patient tools that I'll sort of walk through shortly with you. I think that's all I want to say. I'll keep moving. I just want to provide a slide about Matrix, just to give you an understanding of why we chose to move over to Matrix. And so one of the big factors is the team. So Jason, the founder of the company that created Matrix, really drew us in from the beginning. He's a rare disease patient himself, and he's really passionate about curing rare diseases and making sure that this is done really well. He worked for years in healthcare and is just a solid person. And I've also gotten to know Andrea through the building of this, and I know she's just as passionate as he is, and she's been really instrumental in making this the best it can be. Here is a slide. Thank you, Andrea. She helped me with a couple of these slides, providing this slide and an updated set of numbers. So as you can see here, that there are 105 other groups like ours on Matrix, and so they trust the team and the platform as well. That covers 279 other rare conditions like ours, and patients are coming from 133 different countries with 11 languages offered so far. So they're really doing a great job of ensuring that this works for a breadth of people. And what I found really helpful in this process is that they're able to speak to us about experiences that other communities like ours have had and other patients have had to help us make sure that we're just help make the tool the best possible for wide audiences. I think that's all I want to say. So really quickly, I'm not going to dive into each of these. Thank you, Andrea, for the beautiful image. But I want to mention that there are these patient tools. So There's the piece where we get to ask you very specific questions about RUNX1 FPD, and that's ultra important to our understanding of the disease. But then there's this other piece to the platform, the software in Matrix, that offers patient tools. And so these are tools that are meant to really serve a direct benefit to patients and or their caregivers. And in fact, Andrea just filled me in that when Jason was developing Matrix early on, he spent a ton of time speaking with families about rare disease families, by the way, about what tools they could benefit from in having in a system like this. And so that was really what formulated these tools within Matrix. So I'm hoping you'll enjoy seeing the demos that I'll share with you on some of these. And so at this point, I am gonna jump to the demo videos I made around how to get started with RUNX with the Data Hub. I have a QR code here where you could pull up this website, but I encourage you to just sort of listen in. We are gonna send you these slides, this video after this call, so you can reference this as you go. Just one note, that the system really works best on Edge, Chrome, and Safari when you're pulling up the system on your browser. And I'm going to stop sharing for just a minute, or I'm going to just look at you and see, do you have any questions so far? We're good? Okay. Okay, great. Thanks. All right, so I'm going to jump to the demo. So the first demo video I'll show you is how to set up an account in Matrix, log in, consent, upload your genetic test report, and provide some general information about you and your family. Okay, so in this demo, I am going to show you how to get started with the Patient Data Hub, and this will be all the first steps that you need to process through to get to your dashboard, where you can begin to both enter responses to the RUNX1 research program's questions about your health, as well as work with the patient tools in the system. So to get started, I am working from our RUNX1 Patient Data Hub section of our website. And so there are lots of different pages where you can read about the Data Hub and privacy and how to get help. But I'm going to start with the Getting Started section and clicking on the Create Your Account here. And this will bring us to the Matrix system, and specifically the user request page within the Matrix system. So this is the page where you fill out the basic information required to set up an account in the Matrix platform. You'll know that it's us. It's the RUNX1 Patient Data Hub, because you'll see the RUNX1 logo at the top. So I'm going to start by entering in Amanda Egan Test. I'm just making up a last name here. And I'm using a test account called RUNX1 Test Patient at gmail.com. And I'm going to attest that I'm 18 years of age. Everyone who sets up an account has to be 18 years of age or older. Younger individuals can participate, but they'll need a parent or other legally authorized representative to set up an account for them and to consent for them. So you are welcome to participate from anywhere in the world. I am in the US, and then for those who are not, you'll have to verify that you read and you know that you're providing data that will be transmitted to the US for account creation, because that is where Matrix is set up. There are different roles. You can read about the different roles that you could play in setting up an account. You could be a patient yourself. You could be a caregiver of another patient, like a child. You could also be a person who has lost a loved one who wants to enter information about that loved one. So perhaps your grandparent has passed away, but you know they had RUNX1 FPD, and so you might select that. You can select all three, but for the sake of simplification in this demo, I'm going to just sign myself up as a patient. So great, I got the check mark, I registered, and then I know an email will be sent to my account to verify that email. So let me jump over to my account. It might take a minute. So I'm in my email account now, and you'll see an email from the RUNX1 Research Program. which is actually our Patient Data Hub account, Patient Data Hub at RUNX1FPD.org. So you might consider adding that account to your sort of not spam list to make sure you get emails from that account. Okay, so account creation notice email, I'm going to open that, and my account's been created, so I'm going to click create password. Okay, so these pop up because Google and many systems are very careful for us, and that's a nice protection, but we know that because we have this logo and this email is from this email address, we are safe, and I'm going to click open anyway. So that's going to bring me back to the Matrix Create Password page. Not back to it, but it opens a new tab, as you can see here. And I'm going to follow these rules and set up a password. Type in the same password there and click continue. Okay, so this is the first page of the informed consent document. This will walk you through all of the specifics about the study as you consider whether to finish enrollment. So the first step is to indicate that you are indeed 18 years or older. And then here are some details about what the data hub is, what you'll be asked to do if you participate, the fact that you will receive compensation for your time completing it for the first round. There is a link to open the glossary of terms on our website should you want to refer back to them, and a link for opening the frequently asked questions as well, which you may want to refer to. So I'm going to go back to Matrix and click and go and scroll down through and click next for the next page. How will information be analyzed and shared? That will be, there's a little information in there. What if you have questions or concerns? You can reach out to myself or the governing body, the Genetic Alliance and Independent Review Board is a board that reviewed the study details to ensure that they are safe and ethical for patients to participate in. You can reach out to them directly if you have any questions or comments. Contact information. We have a few questions about whether you would like to provide your information or a doctor's information should we in the future with our research find something that might impact your medical care. You can opt to say nope, I don't want to hear anything, or yes, I will provide my name and phone number and email address for you to contact me. I'm going to say no for now just to simplify the process. Again, you can fill out a doctor's name if you'd like us to contact them. And then if you want to include a family member, should we have trouble reaching you, you can do that, or, friend, whoever you choose to include there. And so finally, the last step is to agree to participating in the study or not. If you hit unsure, we will reach out to you and answer any questions that might remain. We can walk you through this process and go to and discuss any issues you have or concerns. So for now, I'm going to click yes, and by typing my name in, and clicking complete, I will complete the consent process. One thing to note is at the bottom of each form that you fill out or survey, you'll see that you can click that you would like a copy of whatever you're about to complete sent to you. So it will be sent to that email address you registered. Note that if you don't click that, you can actually access these documents within the system later, print them, download them, whatever you want to do. So I'm going to click complete, and that will complete the consent process and bring me to the general information tab here. In red are required items. We need to indicate what country we're in. You can type date of birth in, or you can select it from the calendar. There is an option for people who suspect they have RUNX1 FPD, or strongly suspect it but haven't been fully tested yet, to participate. But I'm going to participate, so I would select that if that applies to me, but I'm going to participate as a RUNX1 familial platelet disorder individual. This brings me to the genetic test upload section of the enrollment process. Technically, one thing you should note is you can move on and complete this section without a genetic test report. For example, if you're someone who highly suspects you have RUNX1, but you haven't been tested yet, or you haven't gotten your results from that test yet, you can select this and move on. But we encourage you to go ahead and upload your report here so that we can have our genetic counselors review it, confirm that you're eligible for the RUNX1 Patient Data Hub before you go any further, and spend a lot of time, and then perhaps we find that this isn't a good fit for you, and you've sort of lost some of your personal time. I'm going to go ahead and upload a document. Note that it's best for you to combine any pages. If you have separate documents, separate pages in different documents, please go ahead and merge them into one document. Let us know if you have any questions on how to do that. You can upload JPEGs, pictures, PDFs, PowerPoints even, or documents. I'm going to go to upload this example genetic test report that I have prepared and click save. It's uploading now, and I'm going to close this pop-up and you'll see it right here, and I'll click complete. And I've completed this step, and so therefore now I can finish this whole window was for this section, and so now I can click finish. Okay, and I've been directed to the dashboard. That means I'm fully enrolled and I've done all the steps required to be in the RUNX1 Patient Data Hub system. I want to pause here before we move on to the next section, the next demo, which will be jumping into these surveys and how to complete them and how to actually look at some of the patient tools that are really neat. Any questions so far, or comments, concerns? Okay, great, thank you. I'm going to go ahead and keep going. I have a slide to introduce this, but basically what it is this is your dashboard, and here's how you navigate through and complete a survey, how you find completed surveys, and then how you actually can analyze your information relative to others of the system. Before I move on, I want to mention, I think maybe only a couple of you are already in the system. That last video, if you already have an account, don't set up a new account. I can show you later how to do that, and you do not have to upload a new genetic test report. We have those for you. That's for the people who enrolled in REDCap. So I don't want you to repeat your effort. Okay, I am going to continue here. This is a demo video demonstrating how to identify which surveys are new and ready to be completed, how to complete them, and how to find your completed surveys. And then finally, how to compare your responses on these surveys compared to other individuals in the system. So I'm at the dashboard here, and you'll see that all the surveys that are new or in progress to me are listed at the top. I can also find those surveys here in the Survey Studies tab. They look just like they did on that dashboard. They're listed in order of priority simply to help you use your time wisely. If you only have a few minutes, please feel free to log in and start at the top and complete as many as you can, and then come back later and complete the rest. I'm going to start by just showing you what it looks like to get started. This personal medical history RUNX1 FPD specific survey is probably the most important. It has 50 questions. We estimate about 10 to 15 minutes, so I'm not going to walk you through the whole thing, but if I click start, it opens up in a new window. I can use the scroll bar to go down through the first page of questions. At some point, I can hit next once I answer these questions. Note that if I hit next and I have not completed any required questions, those required response sections are highlighted here. I also want to make a note that at any point, if there's a word that you're not familiar with in here, you can click on the glossary link and it opens up a glossary of terms. And these are the terms throughout the system that you may find valuable to read a little bit more about. So I'm going to close that out. I'm actually going to close out of this whole survey because it takes a little too long to complete in a demo. But I'm going to jump over to another account where I've already completed that survey, and you'll note it's already been completed, so it no longer appears in my new and in progress tab. But if I click over to completed, there it is. It's listed there. I completed it earlier today. And I could email it to myself, download it, and I can view my responses here. Click on view, and you can see my responses are completed on each of the pages here. Okay, I can actually, by the way, I can go back and edit if within the next couple months something changes or I realized I made a mistake, I could go back in and edit. But I'm going to not do that now. Okay, what I want to show you next is, now that you can see the new and the completed tabs, another thing you can do is analyze your responses compared to other individuals who are enrolled in the system and have answered the same questions on any of these surveys. So one way to get to that is to go through Survey Analysis tab, or you can go to your Completed tab and you can find the survey that has a question you're interested in. Click on the three dots and then click Analyze. And so now what comes up is a list of all of the questions in that survey. First, you'll see page 1. They're split up by pages. So you might jump over to the page you have an interest in. And say you're interested in to see how many other individuals have had hematomas. I'm going to click on that question and scroll down. My response is in orange. My response was yes, and there are 6 other individuals who responded similarly, but there are 5 who have said no, and there's 1 who said uncertain. Similarly, we could look at, have you ever had mitral valve issues? I said no, and that's the majority of responses have said no as well. So one thing I want to note here is that is 3, that is 10. There are only 13 individuals who have responded to this question so far. And part of that is because, like I said, individuals can log in and enroll and just space out their time, finish surveys as they have time. So some people have not answered this yet. Some of that is because even though we have 62 individuals in the system, a large chunk of those were brought from REDCap, so people enrolled in the old data platform, and their data was brought into the Matrix platform. For those of you who have done this, we kindly request that you return to the Matrix platform and you retrieve your account, and I can show you how to do that, and reconsent, because only those who have consented in the Matrix system will appear in these charts. So we're really hoping to see many more come back in and reconsent so that their data can be compared to those who are consented in the system. And that is about all I wanted to show you. I could show you what it looks like if you go here. If you go to Survey Analysis, you'll see that any surveys that you've completed are here, and then you can click the Analyze button and you'll see the same process there. You can look at any single question and responses in comparison to yours.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Is it possible to download a report, if you will, or the sort of things that you've typed in, just in case you ever wanted to just hand it to a new medical provider, for example?
Yes, and that you would do it survey by survey through that completed tab. And let me see if I can show you. There's my presentation. I'm not logged into this, but yes, the answer is if you go to the 3 dots on the right, there is a download tab. Andrea, do you want to, this so well.
Yeah, as long as it's enabled for those surveys, go ahead and sign in and just go to your completed tab, and to the right of each completed survey are these 3 dots. We call it the 3-dot menu or the kebab menu. And if you click on that, one of the options is you can email it to yourself or you can download it.
Okay, let me give you, let's see. So this is that test report. Thank you. And if I go to survey studies or through my dashboard, I see new, completed, and this is the kebab. Oh, apologies. This is the version where I haven't completed those surveys, but here's my completed consent form. And similarly, you'll see the same thing, email, download, and that'll just start a download, I believe. Let's see.
Yep, it'll just download it.
There it goes. It downloaded it as a PDF. So all of those, so you can do that for any of the surveys. That makes sense. There's actually a feature I'll show you in a minute through the sharing center, but these aren't available through this sharing center, right, Andrea? Those are the other, sorry, I'm opening up a ball of wax here too soon. But
yeah, surveys are not in the sharing center.
But you could, so the sharing center is a private way of sharing documents with anybody you want, your teachers, school nurses, and you'll see that in my next demo. And so in theory, you could download these and upload them into your document section and send them in a secure way to anyone you want. So I can, why don't we watch the demo and then we can follow up on that. Does that answer your question for now then, Monica?
It does. It does. I have one more question, sorry. And that is, as I think about like symptoms and things, they change over time. What is the prompt, or how will we be reminded to think about 2 years later when actually we do have eczema or something like this?
Yeah, really good question. We are wanting to follow people yearly. And so you will actually see, you may already see this in some of your families' chart, that there may be new and in progress surveys for you, even though you've completed them. We will add at the 1 year mark, after you've completed any survey, we will populate the new and in progress with a new version of it. The survey will be pre-populated with your old answers, so you can just skim through and say everything's the same, and then you can change anything that isn't the same, and that will allow. But your old version will be in the system, so we can actually look at changes over time as well. One thing while we're in here, I want to show you that I didn't put in the demo is actually, I think it might be in the next demo, so forgive me. But if you go up to this little icon with the person and you go to settings, you'll want to edit, select a time zone. I forget what the default is, but it's not central for me, which is where I live. But what's in here is that how you want to receive reminders or prompts when new surveys are available. And so the default is that you'll get an email when new surveys pop up in your new section. You can turn on texts if you prefer that, and make sure your phone number is correct. But I'm remembering, Andrea, you said that's only for US numbers right now, right?
Right. Text is only for US numbers, correct.
Sorry about that.
But anytime those annual surveys are issued, Monica, it goes onto your dashboard, but you will also get an email reminder that you have a new survey in the system to complete.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, perfect. Okay. So I'm going to cancel out of that. I probably should have saved my time zone, but that's fine. Okay. Anything else while we're here?
Amanda, I don't have a gene certificate or anything.
That's a good question, Alicia. So if you don't have a genetic test report confirming your variant, another option is a letter from your physician that diagnosed you. If that is an option that's available, or you don't have to share that with me if you don't want to, but
I could get one up from a doctor's report just saying that I have it.
Yeah, we would. So there are a couple of things we need to see in that report, and that would be what is your specific RUNX1 variant, and your name and date of birth, just to verify it's you. And that would be it, because then we could look up the variant and confirm it qualifies as a germline RUNX1.
I'm seeing my doctor at the end of the month. So for my daddy, I wouldn't have anything like that.
Oh, for your father? Is that what you're saying?
I have a letter for Pierce.
Yeah, I think, we could talk offline about that a little bit. I think that we would love to include your father in the system. Maybe we can think about a way to get approval, because you have so many family members involved, and you all have the same variant that might qualify. We'd have to talk to our study team to make sure everyone's comfortable with that, but I think that would be an option.
I'll talk to you after the meeting, even.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds great, Alicia. Thank you. That's a great question. Okay, I'm gonna, let me jump over to, where was I? So we just went through these two, and then I have a demo that's about 14 minutes showing some of these patient tools. So I just want to keep that in mind. If there are any other burning questions, I don't want to use this time. Okay, so let me show you the patient tools and see what you think. And then, like I said, I have another half hour if you have other remaining questions after that. Okay, this video is intended to learn a little bit about the patient tools that are available to anyone who enrolls in the RUNX1 Patient Data Hub through the Matrix system. Again, these tools are features that are beyond the surveys that we're asking specifically about your RUNX1 FPD related experiences. So you can find them down on the left. I'm going to highlight a little bit about health info, symptoms and activities, insights, journal, and sharing center. So to start, I just want to mention under health info that there is another video to show you how to set up any connections you'd like to make to your electronic health records. And that's a nice feature because you can bring in anything that you feel is important to track all in one place from any clinics or hospitals that you are a part of. When you do so, you can choose to populate these other sections: medicine supplements, conditions, treatments, etc. But one other thing you can do is actually manually enter things like medicines and supplements. And these 4 listed here are things that I've entered manually myself. And you'll know that because it doesn't show a symbol, this symbol next to it here. You can add additional medicines and supplements, and a nice thing is that this is populated with common medicines and supplements in the back end. So perhaps you're taking Claritin. I know I've written Zyrtec there, but I suppose you're taking Claritin as well, or instead sometimes. And so you can select these standard strengths and enter the dosage, 1 tablet, frequency daily. Do not take on the same days as Zyrtec. I'm not sure that's true, but I would think so. And click save. And so that's added to your list. Suppose I was adding Claritin because I've stopped taking Zyrtec. I can indicate that I'm stopping the Zyrtec entry. And so you can see that it has become inactive there. It's listed as historical, but it's inactive. All right, so I think I'll leave that there, other than to say with the EHR connections, once you connect and you indicate what you want to be brought into the system, once per week, the Matrix system goes out to check those connections and see if there's any new data. So perhaps across the year when you have your flu shot, or any other vaccines, those will be automatically populated into this section of the data hub for you. So that's a nice feature. And then I want to show you some symptoms, the symptoms and activity section as well. I think this is a really nice opportunity to begin to track some issues that have been bothering you and you want to kind of think about and monitor. And one of those things that we might see among our community are heavy periods and related issues that women often have. And so I've listed a few here, and I've actually, if I go back in time, you'll see that I've marked these ones indicate the days that these things have been experienced. I can create a new symptom, perhaps eczema is something that I deal with. That adds a row here, and I can indicate that, today, sure, right now I'm experiencing eczema, maybe on my hands and neck. And then I can say on a 0 to 10 scale, I'll call it about a 7. And I'd say that worsened since the last time I had a flare up. So I'll select worsened. And so that appears, oh, I see it didn't populate here because we are back on December 8th through 14th. But if I go to the current week, you'll see that pop up here on Tuesday. And one thing I want to note is that when I added it, this default time is actually my current time. because I'm going to exit that and not save it. Because I did, when I set up my account as Amanda Eggen, the patient, I did go into my settings and make sure my time zone was central where I live. I'm going to go to edit and select your time zone. And please note that the default here, when there are new surveys or other study notifications, the email is the default, so you'll receive an email to the email address you registered with. You'll also receive an email when you have a message from us. There is a messaging center within the system that's really nice for us to communicate with patients in a secure and private manner about the Patient Data Hub. You can turn on text messages as well for these, and a text will go to the phone number that you provided, but I'm going to turn those off since it's not really a phone number. And I'll leave it as email and click save. All right, let me jump back over to symptoms and activities. From symptoms and activities, I want to highlight the insights feature, which is really one of my favorites. And this is a chance for anyone in the system to sort of act like their own little scientist, to try to figure out if they can see any parallels between some of their activities and their choices in diet and medications, etc. So I've popped to insights, and this is the chart. This is the last chart that I developed. And if you want to change up the chart, you go to filters and you'll see that symptoms, activities are listed here. And those are the ones that you just saw me tracking, as well as medicines and supplements. And so we can include up to 6 of these items in one chart. So I've selected 5 out of 6. I think I'll add Pilates to this and apply. And now you see Pilates was added to the bottom. So today is about here. And if you scroll backwards, you can see that in the past, I just recently started tracking. So back in November, I started tracking some Pilates exercises. I'm going to double click to zoom in. And so in early mid-December, I had cramping, headaches, or heavy periods and backaches at the same time. I did start Pilates in hopes that would help, but it didn't seem to really make a difference then. Around December 21st, I continued the Pilates, but I began an anti-inflammatory diet and kept track of the days that I was able to follow that. And you might see here that then my next period came along, still was heavy, but I only had 1 day of cramping and no backaches. So as sort of a novice scientist here, I might say, maybe this anti-inflammatory diet is helping me. We can't draw clear conclusions from this, but maybe it'd be worth talking to the RUNX1 team and telling them what I'm seeing, and perhaps seeing if they have any scientists who have been thinking about this, interested in exploring this. Maybe there's a study in the works for this. Maybe we could follow up with a survey through the system asking people about their diet, alongside women, their experience with periods, or for everyone, their experience with some other types of flare-ups that they have with their health. And so this could spark additional studies or lab studies around diet and well-being. So this is a really nice feature of this. And of course, you're not expected to share this with us, but this could be something that we'd love to hear about. Okay, so that's the Insights tab. The Journal tab is really just sort of your own place to track thoughts and anything that you want to track. I started tracking, notes on eczema from a recent visit. I can click save. All right, so my journal was updated. I can create another category, perhaps. Here it will be like mental well-being notes. I could say anxiety tracking or anxiety notes. I could say that yesterday, had experienced much anxiety around an upcoming presentation at work. meditation helped calm me, as did preparing demo videos to show the day of the event. Click save. And those notes come here. So this is really just sort of like a sticky note tracking, and you can use this as you wish. Let's see. So that was the journal, and I'm going to go down into the sharing center. So the sharing center is a place where you can securely and privately share information from the data hub with anyone, your doctors, nurses you work with, the teachers at your child's school. And so there are a couple different ways you can do this. You can print out these shareable items, or you can create a link, which is really such a snazzy feature, I think. So I'm going to call it teacher introduction. So perhaps, or you know what? Yeah, I'll call it teacher introduction, teacher/school nurse introduction. So perhaps my child is starting school soon, and I want to introduce the concept of RUNX1 and what they experience. I'm going to say it doesn't expire. It's never going to expire. In that situation, I just give them one link, and as I update the system in the areas that I share with them, and they can click on the link in perpetuity and find that any updates to these sections. You can always go delete these later. So if that makes you uncomfortable, or you could say, my child's about to graduate from elementary school, so I'm just going to use 1 year as the expiration time. Let's see. So you can choose medicines and supplements to share, which is a common one with schools, conditions. Oops, oh, right, we have no conditions here yet. I know that in here we have some symptoms. I have some general information about myself and my family in there. And then I want to share my genetic test reports. I don't think anybody would want to share them with their teachers, but suppose you had other kinds of documents in here, perhaps like the RUNX1 fact sheet you could even include in here, or like an emergency form that a nurse would want to have, knowing sort of maybe what medications your child is taking, and sort of how to react to a severity in a fall and a bruise, that sort of thing. So you can actually select any of those documents that have been uploaded. You can share, a physician with the teacher as well, only including the current ones I'm seeing, or only include emergency contacts, and save. Okay, so here's the entry that was created under the sharing center. In order to share that with the teacher and school nurse, you'll want to get the actual web address to copy. And to get that, you click on the link, and that'll actually open up that very specific address that you'll share. But you'll also need to share a passcode. That's what offers that security. So if you click on passcode view, the passcode for this one is 5025. And so when the teacher receives that link, they enter 5025, enter. And it says, please remember you're viewing personal health information and be careful. And this is what it looks like to them. And that sort of thing. Oh, you know what? Yep, we can scroll down through this section, scroll down through this section. So this, I think, is a really nice feature. You can print it, or the teacher can print it and save it into their files on their side. And that's what that looks like there. That does conclude my demonstration. Any questions about these features? I recognize we only have about 5 minutes officially on this, but any questions, comments, anything?
Seems much better than the last system, so great.
Yeah, pretty excited about that. Sorry if I confused you earlier on the sharing center. So actually, that's one thing I wanted to mention one thing I wasn't clear on in that demo is that there's this document center. So there are the genetic test reports that you upload at the beginning, and those go into the document center, but you can also upload. And so here's that example genetic test report I uploaded, but you can upload at any point, any documents that you want to upload. We ask if you upload a genetic test report that you select the genetic test tag, so it's marked as a genetic test, but you can upload anything you want and just leave it untagged, right, Andrea? Just leave it untagged if it's like, that medical emergency document I mentioned in the example. Mm-hmm. Correct. So you can upload anything you want into the system. Maybe this is nice for us because sometimes patients want to share with us some reports, and even though our email address is HIPAA compliant, our email system is HIPAA compliant, it might just feel more comfortable to upload it through a system that's so secure like this. And so documents can be uploaded to share with us, and then also shared with doctors and others as well through that secure sharing system. Anything else? Okay, I hope that was clear then and not confusing. Okay, thank you, Anne. I'm going to leave you then at the end with this. This is, Lauren couldn't be here today, but she's our data coordinator. So you may have seen her email or emails from her come through. Her email address is patientdatahub@. Both of us are available if you ever want to just sit down. And another feature of Matrix is actually I can log in for you I'm just saying this off the cuff, Andrea, but there's a way I can log in for you, and you can be looking at your file while I'm looking at your file, and we can just talk through your experiences, and I can mark your responses for you as we go. Is that right, Andrea, the way I described that? Okay.